I want to just say a few things. Number one, I wanted to thank our leader, Andres Stewart Cousins, for bringing this bill to the floor, particularly during Black History Month. Everyone is well aware of the scourge of mass incarceration in our country, and I strongly believe that a part of that is the private prison industry. I feel very strongly that private prisons should not be allowed in any way, shape, or form for one simple reason: the profit incentive. When you run a private business, as I've done in my past, your job is to make sure you keep your business alive and growing. In this case, when you're talking about private prisons, the product are people. And you are looking to incarcerate people in order to make a living. I think that is not a business that the private sector should be anywhere near involved. So, in the state of New York, we do not permit private prison activity, and I think that's the right thing to do. But I think it's also important to say, if you're a state-chartered bank, you should not have the right to lend money to private prisons. Why is that so important? Right now, we are debating marijuana in the state of New York, whether we legalize it or not. We presently have a medical marijuana industry here, and guess what? Banks don't lend to them. Why? Because they say the federal statute, it's illegal. So I think it's appropriate to say, if there are businesses and industries that we define as illegal or things that we shouldn't participate in, that it is well within our right to say banks that are chartered in the state of New York should not lend to them. And so I'm humbled that this bill is on the floor today. I think this should be a signal for other people. And let me just say also, with all due respect, because I do believe in business in the state of New York. We introduced this bill last year, passed on this floor. A year later, not one bank has issued a letter of opposition to this bill. You would think if this is something that state-chartered banks in New York were so concerned about, we would at least have received at least one letter. To this point, we have received nothing. Numerous large banks, Chase, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, all have said, we don't want anything to do with the private prison industry. They've backed off. Two state-chartered banks, by the way, Barclays and PNB Paribas, both have said when their relationships end, they will no longer, their current commitments expire, they will not re-up. So clearly, the private industry on its own has said, we don't want to be in this space. I think it's important in statute to make it clear where our values are, and I think this is the kind of thing that people expect from a progressive government, to say, we believe that certain businesses should not be in the hands of the private sector because of the nature of what is going on. So thank you so much for this time on the floor, and I want to thank my colleagues who are in support of this bill. Thank you, Madam President.